This is my 2025 Notion Productivity Brain.
Designed to get you organized, productive, and motivated. You can download and start using it immediately, so you don't need to struggle for months trying to design your own system. Now let's have a look through the headquarters template. It's your all-in-one system for task management, scheduling, project management, life bucket management, note-taking, resources, reflections, fast-tracking your success, and much more. I've tried almost every productivity method under the sun, and I found these 10 techniques have helped me out the most. So I built the Notion template around those principles. To-do lists and calendars, time blocking, the Eisenhower method, avoiding context shifting, scheduling with energy in mind, the Pareto principle, also known as the 80-20 rule, bottleneck analysis, journaling, time tracking your tasks, and eat the frog, but also many more. This is not your average Notion template. This is a workspace where you'll eliminate distractions and busy work and prioritize making actual meaningful progress. Let's dive in. So on purchase, you'll get to a link to the headquarters template, and then you just go up here and hover over this, which means to duplicate, and you just click on that. Alright, so let's have a look through the template. As you can see, when you download it, there isn't any projects or any tasks in here. So the first thing we're going to do is look at task management. Now let's scroll down here to My Task List and click on New Item here. So you can either do that by clicking there or by clicking up here. So let's write Finish Writing Report. That's my fake task for the day. So as you can see, the next two properties are importance and urgency, inspired by the Eisenhower method. So if we click here, we can select the importance here. So finishing writing report, I'm going to say that's very important, and the urgency is very urgent. Now the next question is the state of mind that I need to be in. So is it a flow state, so something that requires quite a lot of deep work? Is it a quick task, so something that's maybe 5 minutes or less? Is it an easy task, so something that's a bit more shallow, maybe takes 20-30 minutes and not too cognitively demanding? Or is it a personal task? So we're going to click on flow task for this one. Now before I get to the bucket and the project, I want to show you this cool feature that it has. So let's add another task in here. Let's do write cover letter. And let's say that this is important and urgent. Let's say this requires flow state as well. Now I want to show you something cool. If this finish writing report, let's say it's actually not that important. So we'll click on not important. Now as you can see, it actually automatically pushes down in this list here. So this task list here under the order tab, it's actually sorting stuff in order of importance. So I'll just click on the sort up here so you can see the rules. We have the urgency ascending, importance ascending, and date descending. That way it automatically organizes our task list for us. So you can imagine once you start adding your 20-30 tasks, this is all being organized for you. So we understand why I've added the importance and the urgency in this template. Why have I added the state of mind here? Well, let's just drag these two in here like that. So I've just added them to my day. And then let's add another task to this date here. So I can just click on add an item here. Let's do batch social posts for next month. So the urgency is, it's not urgent. This is for next month. It is important, however, and the state requires a flow state for this as well. It's a few hours of work where I have to really concentrate. Now the reason I've added this state of mind here is, we can see I have 3 flow states in a single day. That is going to be super overwhelming and probably quite unlikely for you to get all of this done. So the reason that I'm showing the state of mind under the weeks tabs is actually to know, is this possible or not? Am I asking too much of myself? And you know what? I think I am. In this scenario here, batch social posts, it's unlikely that I'm going to get them all done in a single day. I can possibly finish writing the report and write the cover letter in one day, but it's unlikely that I'm going to do all 3. Now if this was a separate task, let's say organize coffee with Charlie. Urgency, it's actually not that urgent. Importance, it's not important at all. But the state, it's like a 5-minute task, so we're going to say quick here. Now when I click away, you can see here we've added that a quick task to this. You know what, it's still doable, it's still possible. Now if you scroll up, you can see that these tasks here are also being shown here. So this task list is also your calendar. And long-term fans of this channel know that I say your day is your to-do list. So these two are the same thing. Many other templates and solutions have the task list and the calendar as separate stuff. It's the same thing. You're doing your tasks, you're doing your task list in your day, and your day is your calendar. So it only makes sense to have them be the same thing. So this database, and this database, they're actually all the same database, but we're just viewing them with different settings. So what we can do here under My Day Today is actually start reorganizing. So let's say I want to do this finish writing report first. Let's say that's my eat the frog. So I want to put that first up here. And I can even add a time to it. So let's say 8 a.m. After that, I want to organize coffee with Charlie. So let's say I'm finished at 11 a.m. and I want to do that then. And then after that, I want to write the cover letter. So let's say 1 p.m. So this time blocking feature is built in here very seamlessly. However, if you do use Notion Calendar, it also connects super easily. You just click open in calendar and it connects. Like I said, all of these are the same database, so it makes it a lot easier to actually work with. You're not connecting 15 different databases like a lot of other templates or solutions, you're just using this one main database. Now, part of your day is also habits, and if you've seen a lot of my content, you know that a habit is just a task that we need to add to the day. So what I've done is actually made it super simple. We've got habit 1, 2, and 3 set up as templates in here. So we can just press on a new item here, and then we can scroll down and select habit 1. Now, as you can see, habit 1 is pretty blank. We just have urgency as habit, and I'll show you why this is important later on. So now we have this new habit in here. Now, obviously, you can change all of these habits to whatever you want. So you can just click on these 3 dots, click on edit, and change these to whatever you want. So if running is one of your habits, you can just write that in. You can change all of these settings. So let's say it's not that important, realistically. It's reasonably easy. It's a 20-minute run. The bucket belongs under fitness, so we'll put that. Then we can select the project. Now, running might not have a project associated with it, but let's say you're training for a marathon. So we'll write marathon here, and then click on this, which is going to generate a new project called marathon. And it's actually going to have everything already set up for you. So now what I'll do is delete this habit 1. So I'll add the new one just by pressing plus. And now if you scroll down, you can see running here. So if we click that, automatically all of these settings get added, which is super useful. And when you add a project or a bucket to an item, it actually shows up on that page. So if you scroll down, you can see here now under my projects, we have marathon that's been created. If I click on that, automatically we can see that running has been added to this page. So one of the best things about adding a bucket and a project associated to a task is it actually adds it to those pages. So everything here is working seamlessly together. If you want to know all of the stuff to do with marathon, it's automatically being added here, including the notes, including your bottlenecks, which I'll get to later. And it's the same idea with all of these tasks. So let's add a couple of life buckets and projects associated with these tasks. Bucket. For this, organize coffee with Charlie, that would be family and friends. The project, you know what, we probably don't need a project involved for organizing coffee with Charlie. Write cover letter. This will be under the bucket of probably career, that would make most sense. Then we can add a project here of get a new job. And then we can just add that here. And then again, as you can see, if I scroll down, get a new job has been added here under no status. I'll explain how status and all of the project stuff works later on. Finish writing report, the bucket of that's my job. Project, let's add a new one of sales report. There we go. And then batch social posts might belong under the bucket of, let's say, my business. Project, let's just say social media. So most likely throughout your day, you're going to be working with the My Day Today, where you can see all of your tasks for the day. You're going to be working in this view with the week's tasks, and you're going to be looking at this and adding any tasks in here. So let's go through the task list. We have the Order tab, then we have the Quick tab. The Quick tab is just showing us tasks that have been labeled with the state of quick. Flow, which is just showing us tasks labeled flow. Easy, just tasks labeled easy. Personal, just tasks labeled personal. So if I add a new one, you can see it automatically adds the state of personal. The low priority tasks, so if they're not urgent and not important, they'll show up here. The no date tab is also extremely useful. Basically, it's showing all of the tasks that don't have a date associated with them. Blah, blah. Basically, if I add a date to it, so let's say today, it actually gets removed from this list. And as you can see, blah, blah has been added here to today's date. So I'll just delete that. So this is a good place to see tasks that you haven't done and they don't have a date associated with them. So you basically haven't allocated them a time yet. Then we have tasks by bucket. And it's just like it sounds, we can see the tasks broken down by bucket. Here it's all the tasks associated with my business, here's all the tasks associated with career, and so on and so forth. And then lastly, we have the Everything tab, just in case you want to find a task and it's been lost or anything like that. There's no filters or anything here, so you can find it. So your task list works seamlessly with your calendar. So let's go through the calendar tabs. We have week's tasks, all this week, and my month. So my month, as it sounds, you can see all the tasks this month. There's no filters or anything like that. All this week, there is no filters on this either. So on the week's tasks, we do have a filter. And it's very simple. If you tick something off, so let's say we've organized coffee with Charlie, and we tick that off, as you can see, it gets removed from this list here. Now this is basically so we're not getting overwhelmed with all the stuff that we're seeing. If you're adding a bunch of tasks and you're actually completing them, it's going to be very overwhelming to see a long list of stuff that's done and not done. So we can tick that off and it gets removed from this view, but if we ever want to find it, we just click on all this week, and here we can see this is ticked in organized coffee with Charlie. So if I want, I can just untick this. Let's say I didn't mean to actually check that in, and then go back to week's tasks, and we can see that it's back here, organized coffee. Then above this, we have the same database, but with a different view of my day-to-day as a list, so you can tick these off here. As you see, it's getting removed from here. Then we have today's contexts. Now the reason I've added this is for context switching. So context switching is one of the worst things you can do for your productivity. So the reason I've added this tab is so you can actually start doing tasks broken down by context. So let's say you have a few different stuff for your job, you can add that here, and you can start ticking them off. And after that, you're like, cool, I'm ready to move on to the next context of my career. And you can do all of those tasks associated with your career. It takes a lot of brain effort to switch from one context to the other. So by breaking tasks down by context, we're eliminating this back and forth between contexts, and we are just supercharging our productivity. And then lastly, you have your tomorrow tab where you can plan out your next day. So I'll just untick these. Now, a lot of you might be using Notion Calendar. I absolutely love it and it works really well with this. So let's have a look at how they integrate. Let's click on Open in Calendar. So when it opens up, what we're going to do is click on this side panel here. And then at the bottom here, you're going to see a list of all of your different databases. And you'll just click in My Task List so you can see that. Now, as you can see, all of these tasks appear. And now you can work with these as usual using Notion Calendar, and you only have to connect the one database. So another feature of this template is quick buttons at the top of this page. This is absolutely vital for, again, removing context switching. So let's say we wanted to add a note. A lot of other templates would require you going to the notes page, taking a note, blah, blah, blah. Now what you're doing when you go into the notes page is you're getting distracted. You're on that page, you're seeing a list of all your notes. If you're not already using Notion, you might be opening your notes app and taking your notes there. And then you're seeing all of your notes anyway, and you're getting distracted. And it's the same idea with resources. If you're going to a place that has all of your resources and you're adding a resource there, like adding a new book or a new video that you want to watch later, basically you're getting distracted on that other page with a list of all the other stuff. So it's important to have a place in your dashboard where you can quickly add this stuff without going to that page and getting distracted. Now we'll take a look at notes and resources later on, but first let's have a look at projects and at life buckets. Now, as you can see, your projects is located here on your main dashboard. It's not hidden on another page. That's because we don't want to be clicking away constantly to different pages. It's just adding extra steps for everything that we want to do. Throughout your day, you're going to be working on projects, so let's not hide this on another page. Now, your projects is separated into the incomplete projects, overdue projects, projects by bucket, favorite projects, finished projects, archive projects, and then lastly a tab with all of your projects. Now, most likely you'll be working in the uncompleted projects tab. This is separated by deadline, favorite, ongoing, and then lastly the no status ones. So as you can see, social media, sales report, get a new job, and marathon that we created before, they do not have statuses yet. So let's add some. Social media, this is a status that is ongoing. We're always going to be doing social media for our business, hypothetically. So as you can see, I've changed that and then it automatically gets added under this tab. Sales report, this does have a deadline and we can actually select the specific deadline. So let's say the deadline is yesterday. I've just done yesterday's date so we can see it in the overdue tab as well. Then get a new job. We don't have a specific status for this, to be honest. Let's just put it under fave. It's an important project that we really care about. And it doesn't have a deadline associated either. We can do this whenever. And then lastly, we have marathon, which I'll change to a deadline. And let's say the marathon is on the 29th. So as you can see here, we're seeing the deadline projects up here, then the fave, and then the ongoing. Now you might have seen when I clicked on these, all of these have automatically all of this created. So we're seeing all of the relevant tasks, notes, and all of this show up here. Now this note here, change the filter to the name of this new project. That is just a note for people watching my old tour walkthrough video. I updated the setting almost immediately after launch, so you actually don't need to do this. So we can just delete this here. And so you don't have to see it again in the future. What we can do is go up here and click on this down arrow, and here you can see new project. So this is the default. We're going to click on these three dots, click on edit, and then all we have to do is remove this here, remove, click away, and now when you click on a new project, as you can see this loads in and it doesn't have that sentence anymore. The reason I haven't deleted that is just in case people are watching the old tour video. Now your projects belong under buckets, so we have tasks that come into your project, but these projects sit under a life bucket. So what we can do is also add a life bucket associated with this task. So if we click here, we can add this to the relevant bucket. So sales report, that is for my job. So I'll select job here and then click away. And as you can see, job is showing up here. Now, just like tasks go into projects, our projects go into our life bucket. So in the job life bucket, we can see a mini version of this template. So basically at work, we only want to see stuff relevant to work, which makes sense. So we can see our day with only stuff, I'll just show you the filter, with only stuff that's relevant to job. We can scroll down and see uncompleted work jobs, and we can see all of the projects, again, just relating to our job. So you can see here the project that we created before. So again, this is removing context switching. At our job, we might not want to see tasks that aren't relevant to our job. So here we are only seeing projects and tasks that are relevant. And we're also seeing any notes that we've taken relevant to our job, more on notes later. So let's add a life bucket to marathon. So marathon here belongs under fitness. Click on that. Then if we scroll down and click on fitness, you can see here task, running is showing up, and we can see related projects, marathon. All of this is seamless and working together. It's going to save you hours of clicking back and forth, and you can actually stay on task without getting distracted by everything else. So in this tab of overdue, we can see all the tasks that are overdue, like it sounds, and as you can see, we can see the sales report, which I said was overdue. Again, this is just a simple filter here where the deadline is before today's date. And then we have another tab which is projects by bucket. This is probably the view that I'm using the most, where basically we're seeing all of the projects put into the relevant life bucket. So as you can see, these do not have any tagged life buckets. So if we tag anything, social media, life bucket, for my business, get a new job, life bucket, career. So if you ever want to reorganize this stuff, let's say you want to see the fitness stuff first, you can easily do that. We'll just click on the 3 dots here on the side. We'll then click on group, and then here we can see them. So all we do is click on these 6 dots, and then you can drag them like that. And as you can see, it reorganizes it here. So if it doesn't have a bucket, let's say we put that at the bottom, and then we can move business up here, doesn't matter. You can basically reorganize it however you want. Again, this is set up so when you download it, you just have to click on new project, and all the components get automatically created for you. We then have favorite, which is basically anything you've tagged with favorite, and we have all the buckets that are finished. Now this move the needle is an amazing feature which I will get to later on, but it is an absolute game changer in terms of your productivity. We then have archived and all projects. Now sitting under archived here, you can see this template here. This is basically for people watching the old HQ tour video. Almost immediately after release of this template, I actually changed the settings, but I've kept this just in case people watch the old video and there's any confusion, but since you're watching this new one, you can just delete this template. But bear in mind, you do not want to delete this new project. You want to keep this as default and you do not want to delete that. Alright, so let's scroll down and have a deeper look at the life buckets. We have your journal, admin, fitness, business, relationship, family and friends, study, career, job, template. Again, the template is the same idea. It's for the people watching the original HQ tour. You can delete this. So these work as shown before. You just click on it and here you can see all of your tasks, all of your notes, and all of your projects. Now you might be thinking, what is this journaling one? Well, it actually works very different to these other pages, and it is a summary of all of your different journal entries. And I'm going to show you how journaling works in this because it's one of my favorite features. So there's actually 3 different types of journaling. We have a daily journal entry, we have a weekly review, and a monthly review. This seems to be one of the most popular features. I keep getting amazing feedback about this, so thank you to everyone who's written to me. I'll show you how these work. The first one of the journal entry, this one is pretty basic, there's not much to say here. We'll just create one of these, click on journal entry, and as you can see, there is nothing in here. But what it does do is add the urgency of habit, add the importance of not important, add the state of quick, and add to your bucket of journal. So it's going to show up in your life bucket of journal as I showed before. Now because everyone's daily journal is so different, I have kept this blank. However, the weekly and monthly is definitely not blank. It is a very intricate and unique system which you're going to love. So let's click on add an item, and then scroll down, and then here let's click on weekly review. So we'll scroll down, and as you can see, it has generated all of this. So there's a bunch of questions here. Again, you don't need to answer all of these, but these are what I have found to be absolutely a game changer in terms of my productivity. So looking at my task list completed this week, do I feel like I accomplished enough? What were my biggest distractions this week? What did I do this week that really helped move the needle? Change these items' importance to move the needle if they had a big impact on your life. So this is actually showing us the database of all the tasks we've completed this week. So I'm just going to click back here and let's go to these tasks and tick them in really quickly. Write cover letter, finish writing report, batch social media posts, and running. Tick them in. Now obviously those would have been ticked in as you're doing them, so I'll click back on the weekly review and scroll down. You can now see all of these tasks that you've done this week that are ticked in are showing up here. So I'll do this full screen by clicking up here. Now what we'll do is change the importance to move the needle. So I'll look through this and think, which of these tasks that I completed this week had a big impact? Which ones moved the needle? So let's say this write cover letter had a big impact. I'm going to change the importance from important to move the needle. And as you can see, it gets removed from this list. If we click on needles this week, it's added here. So the reason we're doing this exercise is to find patterns. Once we start creating a list of all of the different tasks we're doing that move the needle, we know where to focus our energy. This has been a game changer for me and a bunch of people that have left reviews and very nice emails, but on a separate page, we can actually see every single task that we've done that has moved the needle. Then scrolling down, the next question is looking at my habits this week, do I feel like I did enough? If so, what helped me stick to my habits? If not, what can I do to actually stick to my habits next week? And as you can see, it's showing me my week here with everything that's been labeled habit. So running is showing up here. So this is just a simple filter where the task is ticked in, where it was a habit, and where the date is relative to this week. So we can see here that I've only ran once this week. Now as you can see, this habits here and this tasks of move the needle, it's actually picking up information from the databases and showing me the relevant information. It's an absolute game changer in journaling because no other journals of what I know of actually pick up data and show you relevant data. Now it's showing you what you've done and you can actually reflect based on that. The amount of progress that I found in my life just by doing this exercise has been absolutely astronomical. And then lastly here we have the bottleneck analysis. Now if you haven't done bottleneck analysis, it's another game changer. So I've got this toggle here just with instructions, so we can just do duplicate. Let's say my bottleneck is not productive enough. Then I'll make this into a project that I'm working on, so be more productive. That's the project that I'm working on. And then we can select that here. So we'll just change the filter, and this stays the same where the tick box is unchecked and project contains, and then here we select this new project that we created. So we'll click on that and we'll do be more productive. So let's do this full screen. So as you can see, it's an empty list, but we can start adding tasks that will address this bottleneck. So not productive enough, get this template. And then down here, you can start journaling about this bottleneck. So instead of having a problem and then writing about it, here what we're doing is having a problem, writing about it, and then creating tasks in order to fix it. This again is a very different approach to journaling from what I've seen before, and it's had a really big impact for me. So that was the weekly review. So let's have a look at the monthly review. It's quite similar and works very well. As you can see, the urgency is tagged habit, important, not important, state, easy, bucket, journal. And then as you scroll down, you can see that these got generated. Go through the task list for the past month, do the same thing here, anything that you might have missed that has moved the needle. Go through the projects that you've finished. Often the things that actually move the needle or have a real impact in your life come from finishing a project. If any of these help move the needle, change their status to move the needle. So not only are we changing tasks that move the needle, we're changing if any projects themselves have moved the needle. So let's say this sales report moved the needle. I can change it from deadline here to move the needle. As you see, it gets removed from here, click on move the needle, and we can find it here. And then again, we have bottlenecks here. So if we scroll down and go to move the needle, let's open this up. We can see here all of the tasks that have been labeled move the needle, and under move the needle projects, we can see all of the projects that have been labeled move the needle. This is your one hub to find everything that you've done that's really making an impact. It's that 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle, made into a physical workspace that you can actually see all of this stuff so you know where to focus your energy in the future. And then we also have this workspace here of bottlenecks where you can find all of them. Alright, let's have a look at note-taking and resources. So let's click on take a quick note. So you're sitting and working and you think of a new note. Let's say add Gary as reference. You want to add Gary as a reference to your resume. So you add that here. Now we can associate a life bucket and a project and a topic of interest to this. So the life bucket is career, the project is the get a new job, and we can add a topic of interest. So let's say career growth, and then we'll just add new. So add Gary as reference. I read online that having references on a resume is good. So I've taken this note, and now when I click away, I haven't been distracted by going into my note. I could just take a note, and now it's stored in the right place. So let's say we want to actually go through our notes. Well, we'll scroll down here, and then here in the workspaces, you can see quick notes and resources. So if we open this up, click here, we can see here add Gary as reference. We can click on open, and we have that here. Now again, because it's seamless and everything is working together, if we go back and scroll down, we're also going to want to find this on the Get a New Job project. So if I click on that, here we can see the note of add Gary as a reference. It's showing up in all the places that we want to be able to find it. Click away, scroll down to Life Bucket, under career here, again we can see under notes add Gary as reference. It's showing up in all the places that we need it. We're not having to look through different folders to find specific stuff. It's showing up when we need it, where we need it. This helps your productivity in absolutely skyrocketing because you're not wasting time looking for stuff. This template took a very long time to make, as you can imagine, and I even made a beta walkthrough video and asked for feedback to ensure that I created a Notion template that's actually useful. Now this template has been out for quite a while. This is just the updated tour video and the reviews have been amazing. Alright, now let's add a resource. So here let's add a book called blah blah. The type is book. Click on that. As you can see, there's a bunch of different ones that I've added. And we can add a topic of interest. So let's say blah blah is not about career growth. Let's say it's about productivity. Write that in, add new here. The creator is Mr. Blah. We haven't finished it. The status is that we want this book. We can add a URL to it here and we can add a review. Obviously we can't review it. We haven't read it yet. So let's click away. And now we've easily added a book without getting distracted. So we'll scroll down and I'll just show you where you can find it. Under resources here, let's open this up full screen. And you can see here, want blah blah is sitting right there. You can add a cover to it and we can change it from want to finish to currently. So let's say we got it and we started reading it. We can just change status to currently reading. And then once we've finished reading it, we can just change to finished and then review. Let's say blah blah was a 5-star. So under resources here, we have course webinar, podcast vid, coaching, articles, newsletter post, files, topics, and not finished yet. So that is how resources works in headquarters. Alright, let's scroll down and have a look at the last few components. We have personal in this. This is just a simple page where you're only seeing stuff that's been tagged personal. In case you want to know, am I seeing my friends enough? Am I spending enough time with my partner? Am I seeing my family enough? All of that stuff, anything that's tagged personal, you can see that in here. Then we have timetable. So this database below is connected to your projects database. So you can actually add, let's say you go to uni and you have a few courses. You can in here add this and you can add marketing lecture and you can add new. So in here, you can easily create a very simple timetable. And then marketing has been added as a project. Then I have this page called the Ideal Schedule. If you haven't done Ideal Schedule before, it's an absolute game changer. It's basically just designing what your ideal week looks like. So I use this all the time just to figure out, okay, how do I want my week to look? So this is not connected to your other databases. It's just connected to this Ideal Life activities. So let's say you want to have gardening as an ideal life activity. Then you can add that there and then schedule time for it. So let's say 8 o'clock gardening, Tuesday, you do it at 10 o'clock. And you can design your own ideal life. This is a crucial way of reflecting on what you want your life to look like. Again, this template is about getting organized, productive, and motivated. So I felt like the ideal week schedule was an important exercise to include in here. Then we also have a time tracker. So let's scroll up and just add some minutes to this. So finish writing report, let's say that took 120 minutes. Organize coffee with Charlie, that took 5 minutes. Write cover letter, that took 60. So all of these are checked in. Let's scroll down and go to the time track. Let's open this up. Here you can see we have a few different tabs to work with. So the time on buckets is exactly what it sounds like. Everything here we're seeing has been checked in. So batch social posts, we need to add some minutes to this. I'll just do 20. We can see career, 60 minutes is showing. The family buckets, organized coffee with Charlie, 5 minutes. Finish writing report, 120 minutes. So it's all showing up here under time on buckets. Then on time on projects, again, what it sounds like, we're seeing how much time have we spent on each project. So as you add projects, it's going to get added to this page, and we can see it in minutes and hours, which is so useful. Again, we can see a sum of it. So 60 minutes, which in total becomes 1 hour. This is a really practical and useful way of knowing where is my time going and where is it being spread across projects and different life buckets. I did this exercise for a number of weeks, and honestly, it was one of the biggest reflections I've had in a very, very long time. I could see quantified where my time was going, and it's sometimes quite scary, but it's a really useful exercise to know where is your time going, so you're not wasting it on the stuff in life that doesn't matter. Then on month buckets and month projects, we just have a simple filter here where tasks that are checked in and the date is relevant to this month, so we're just seeing stuff for this month. Again, super useful if you're someone who cares about tracking time, but also for people who want to reflect and understand where is my time going. I feel like I'm working all the time. What am I actually doing? Then we have the habit tracker. I'll make this full screen. We can see here the habits, all of them here, running, monthly review, weekly review, journal entry. We can also see the habit count month, where basically we're seeing our habits counted out. I'm not a huge fan of counting how many times you've done something, but for those who want it, I have included it. Then we have this page here called Open Loops. So if you don't know about this, Open Loops is basically what are projects and tasks that you haven't finished yet. So if you're the type of person who, when you finish work, you find it really difficult to shut off your brain because you find that your brain is still really active, even though you just want to take a rest, well, Open Loops is a really good page for that. Basically, your brain is trying to figure out what haven't I done and what still needs to be done. So it's very difficult if you don't have that written down. And not only is it now written down, but it's actually organizing all of this for you in a simple page, so you're only seeing the unfinished projects and unfinished tasks in here. So at the end of the day, if you want to see, okay, have I done everything that I need to? You can go through your tasks and see, okay, I haven't done these, but that's okay. It's not that stressful. You can go through your projects. It doesn't matter that these haven't been done. And then you can stop working and not feel stressed because you know everything that you need to think about has been thought about and you can see it all in here. The sooner you implement a productivity system like this, the sooner you'll start seeing results. Often our messy, complicated system, or even lack of a system, is the bottleneck to us actually making progress. We have the bottlenecks as mentioned before. I'll talk about the Mobile HQ last, and we have topics. So in topics here is all the stuff that we looked at before. Productivity, click on that. Here we can see any resources just to do with productivity. So here we can see the blah blah that I added before that was created by Mr. Blah. So that was automatically added in here under productivity. So if you're ever thinking, oh, I want to look at all of my resources to do with productivity, you can do that here under the topics. Alright, to finish this off, let's have a look at the Mobile HQ. Let's open this up. Now, Mobile HQ is a really helpful page because, quite frankly, seeing all of this stuff on your mobile is going to be way too overwhelming and it's unnecessary. Most likely, on your mobile, you're not doing too much work. But most likely, as you're going about your day and you have your phone, you want to easily be able to add stuff. So here we have buttons for create a task, create a quick task, create a do now task, take a quick note, add a resource, and you can even see your tasks in this view here. So it's different from what it looks like on the main page, and it's actually being viewed as a gallery. So let's just untick this. Basically, it might look a bit overwhelming seeing a list or a calendar. So instead, we're seeing our today tasks as a gallery. So if you're going about your day and you have your phone and you've written that cover letter, you can tick that in on your phone. And it moves from the unchecked section to the checked section. That is a tongue twister. Prioritize meaningful progress over busy work. This all-in-one Notion system combines the best productivity techniques so you can work better. I built this so you can focus your time on achieving your goals, not building an app. Thank you so much for watching. Download it now to get organized, productive, and motivated.